No to vote.
Hello, and welcome back to another Pickled Unscripted. As always, I have with me the shy, the talented Matt the Pickled
Very
Dragon.
shy.
And I am Dracoya. What are you drinking today, Matt?
Connor McLeod's drink of choice, Glenmorangie.
Glenmorangie.
Yes, it's quite good. Uh, those who know, know, and we will leave it at that.
Well, we have another interesting topic for you guys today. Once again, we can get on the WotC, why do you keep sucking train?
Yeah, and this is something we actually talked about before, the their VTT, the Sigil, which me personally as a old timer and kind of traditionalist, I don't like playing online at all.
No.
And and we had said it was going to be a massively, if you go back and look at our old VTT videos, we said it was going to be a massive uphill battle for them because everyone is so entrenched on their current VTTs. They've got all the books bought, they've got all their people, all their little players, they know how to use the system. Most of the systems out there allow just the DM to buy like a lifetime license or subscription, and then they can bring in their players without having to spend anything extra. Whereas Sigil was a little different. I think it was more costly. They promised more bells and whistles, and then ultimately it fell flat. Um, but I truly felt that it was a really daunting task for them to ask all of these groups to uproot from the VTT they're using to come over.
I
And
also just don't think they tried. Like, I don't think they gave Sigil a really good, fair shot.
it definitely seemed like it just was all this excitement and then just nothing. All,
Yeah.
like they were just going crazy. This is going to be the best thing ever. And then all of a sudden it was just crickets.
It
And then the next thing you know, they, you know, let go all of their employees during the dark days of Christmas a few years back. And then they let go all of the actual developers that were working on the application. And that was like right there, we already knew they hadn't announced it yet, but we already knew that it was done at that point or whatever it was. They were saying at the time that they were not going to do any additional development on Sigil, but they were just going to let it run as is and people can use it or not use it, whatever.
Mhm.
But now there is a new announcement, which is actually a few days old, but hey, we're always behind the times here. So
Until we're not.
I know I'm still rolling my jean cuffs up. So I'm cool. So yeah, I mean here's the article. Well, it was the actual announcement on D&D Beyond, closing the chapter on Sigil and thanking the community. Woohoo! So yeah, they're officially going to shut the server down October 2026. So that will be it for Sigil. There won't be anything running after that. And yeah,
It seems like the executives of WotC, like, it seems like they bought Dungeons and Dragons and expected a quick return. It's almost like they just expected they were going to buy this thing and then it was going to be an immediate cash cow. They clearly have no understanding of the game. And this is just another great example of another avenue that they went towards, wasted God knows how many millions of dollars on, and then said, oh, well, it's not giving us the immediate yield that we're looking for, so out.
yeah, they spent a lot of money on D&D Beyond to buy it. And it was weird because they were just throwing money away, like the massive, massive loss they took when they sold their movie studio after the movie didn't do as well as they wanted. So like up, out, pfft, you know, and the sigil proved to be more difficult than they first anticipated. So they're like up, out, you know. Yeah, I mean,
It it seems like they just don't understand how our industry works because oftentimes your first project, your first Kickstarter, your first whatever isn't going to work. You take it back, chew on it a bit more, you develop it into something better, and then you re-release it after listening to the public. And then usually I would say you get a much better return. Feel free to disagree with me, guys, in the comments down below.
yeah, I definitely um I definitely think that the people they brought in to run D&D in those dark days uh, did not understand that the players and the DMs, they're the ones that really own the game. Like, you make enough people mad, they're just going to go back to an old edition, or
Mhm.
they're not going to go with you to the next edition, which apparently is what happened. The sales figures for um, D&D. I think Professor Dungeon Master over on Dungeon Craft, he went through those. He's got a video on where he talks about the sales figures. D&D first edition, the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons sold 1.5 million copies of the Player's Handbook, and he goes through all these numbers. And then the 2014 5e sold like 1.6 million. So it was a little bit more, but it was definitely like the most popular edition based on those numbers. And then the estimates that everyone is throwing around is that 2024 sold only 300,000 copies based on all the numbers that they've accumulated and put together and the crickets from WotC on, because if they were selling, they would be saying it, be like all excited about it, but they're not saying anything. And the fact that the sales are so tanky, it's so bad. Uh, it was obvious that Sigil, because they were designing Sigil for the 2024 edition, it was just obvious it wasn't going to happen. Um, but the good news is they're offering some freebies. They're going to be
Really? What kind
yes.
of freebies, Matt?
Well, if you have played in Sigil at least one time between March 1st, 2025 and October 23rd, 2025, you get 6 months master tier credit just to jump around in Sigil. Of course, it's going to go away in October 2026, but 6 months free, good for you. If you paid to have that that's fancy gold dragon digital miniature, well, obviously you won't have that very long, so they're gonna the new reward is a digital dice set on D&D Beyond as a replacement award. Woohoo!
What do you mean? That's ridiculous.
You know, the only other thing I really wanted to say about this article or this announcement, I guess, from Dungeons and Dragons, is where they thanked the developers who brought Sigil to life. Your vision, artistry, and dedication. Your work inspired the world of Dungeons and Dragons and will shape future experiences fans will continue to enjoy. Well, not so much, only for about a year. But, a better thank you would have been to have a job. All of them got fired. Uh,
That's so
but
sad.
yeah,
You know what else
it's
is sad, Matt? Digital
what
dice.
digital dice. Yeah.
Digital dice. You know what you guys should do? You guys should go to dnddice.com and use promo code PICKLED. They don't sell digital dice. They sell fancy schmancy, really great dice.
Yeah.
Excellent as stocking stuffers for your
Oh
best
yeah, they have that
dice
new
goblin.
yeah, they have the new dice what is that? A fancy advent calendar. That's it. The
The dice
advent
advent
calendar. That's a good
calendar. Give it to
idea.
your
You open up every day and see a different die. Okay, well, I'm down with that. I'm down.
your
Uh
nerd and goblin friends will love this.
yes. But I gotta say one thing though. This fella, I wasn't really high on Dan Ayub, who's the new head of Dungeons and Dragons. Dan Ayub, I think that's how it's pronounced. But he definitely seems to be pretty excited in his role. I don't think I've seen this much activity from a head of D&D in a long time. And one of the things that he did was he brought in Margaret Weiss, Tracy Hickman, and Joe Manganiello, basically repaired those bridges, right? And I I get the feeling that our Dragonlance project is back on a streaming show. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think that they would have brought Joe in otherwise. I think that was the only thing that could have brought him back because he was pretty devastated when they cut the program from him, just out of the blue. He was full steam ahead working on it, and then all of a sudden it was just gone. But I definitely get the feeling that that's back on. And so, I mean, this guy seems to be making all the right moves. Now, the real question is without Sigil and the without Sigil and the fumbling of 2024 edition, what does he do next? You know, do they have to like go back to the drawing board and actually find a sixth edition? What do you guys think that they're going to do? What do they need to do? Because I want to see D&D succeed. I'm a traditionalist. I like to look back at the legacy of things. I hate it when something I love ends. Even though the last few years have been pretty rough, I want to see it succeed. I want to see D&D make a comeback. It's just me, it's just my heartstrings a calling. Uh,
Yeah. I know, Matt.
yeah. So, what does Dan Ayub need to do uh, to rescue D&D from the clutches
Of
of
the
the
abyss.
toilet drain?
As always, guys, go to dnddice.com, use promo code PICKLED, but most importantly, like, comment, subscribe, and come back and have another round on us.
Woohoo!